It's now time for our Thoughts on the Matter, a program offering opinions from all sides of the issues concerning local, state, and national topics of importance to the Jonesboro community. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters, donors, or sponsors.
KLEK 102.5 FM, good afternoon to you on your Saturday. It's the last Saturday of July. It's July 29th, 2017. This is our Thoughts on the Matter, and it's a little bit cooler than what it has been. No more 100-degree temperatures, at least for now. It's actually 86 degrees outside, according to the weather that I see on our screen. I know, right? Thank you, Lord, for that. Kato Winter is in the studio with you. I am joined by Mrs. Norma Farrell and Mrs. Amanda Donovan. We've got a couple topics that we are going to discuss today. These were actually some topics we came up with, we were going to talk about last week before we got the invitation to discuss the issue about the violence in the community. That was the subject of the Jonesboro Sun article. So we're going to bring them up this week. And this week we're talking, in this first segment, we're going to talk about internet sales taxes. And then in the second segment, we're going to talk about the spanking kids cause mental issues. So that's going to definitely be interesting. But we're going to start off with our first topic, kind of give you a little bit of background information. A few months ago, Amazon began to collect sales taxes on things that you buy from the website. I know personally because we order a lot of the electronics for the radio station from Amazon, and started getting hit with sales taxes. And there has been a push to collect sales taxes from online purchases around the state. Currently, it's not. It's voluntary where you're supposed to report it, but they're looking at changing it. There was recently on the local level a measure of support passed by the Jonesboro City Council in support of this, and it's actually has generated some interesting opinions. In fact, I'm going to read now this article this comes from KASU.org, KASU News. It says Jonesboro City Council supports enforcing online sales tax resolution 8-4 vote. Measure heads to Little Rock. The Jonesboro City Council passed a resolution supporting the state and federal legislation that would enforce the collection of sales taxes from online transactions. The resolution now goes to the Arkansas Municipal League in Little Rock, where officials will ask for Governor Asa Hutchinson to call for a special session in a few weeks to consider the legislation. The state legislature voted down this legislation in the last session. Last night's city council vote was not unanimous, as 8 aldermen voted in support of the resolution, 4 voted against. Jonesboro Mayor Perrin said this piece of legislation is not a new tax. Arkansas residents are required to report how much money they use each year to pay for online transactions, and sales taxes are supposed to be collected, Perrin says. Last year alone, 70 Arkansans reported on tax returns how much they spent on online sales, compared to over 3 million people that are in the state of Arkansas. Perrin says the lack of enforcing collection of the taxes led to the state losing a lot of money. The conservative amount is the state loses at least $25 million a year in lost online sales taxes, but we know that it's actually much more than that. Alderman Bobby Long is against the legislation, and he said, "I support local businesses and shop local wherever I can." Long says, "What I can't support is using this as a way of adding to the state's revenue. It is not acceptable to give big government more money to spend through saying this would benefit local businesses." He also tells what his other concerns is about the legislation. "There is nothing that can prevent a Jonesboro business from setting up a website and selling their goods across the country to make online profits, just like other businesses are doing in Arkansas. I go back to the fear of using this legislation as a way of getting as much money as they can from taxpayers in the state." Jonesboro Mayor Harold Perrin said that Arkansas has not been enforcing the law of collecting internet sales taxes. He says the lack of paying those taxes is tax evasion. He says it's not fair to local businesses that support activities that take place in Jonesboro are not supported when online retailers are supported due to convenience factors for shoppers. The Arkansas Municipal League needs to collect at least 300 resolutions from cities around the state before they request a special session from Governor Hutchinson. And again, that came from KASU.org, KASU News. So what do y'all think about this internet sales tax thing?
Well, I'm with Harold, and I'm also with Bobby Long. You know, it is tax evasion, but where's this going to lead? Other states? Is this going to be an additional tax? I mean, is this going to be our 8.5% sales tax, or is this going to be, there's a lot of question, and I really don't think it's going to affect the local businesses as much as what Harold is saying. I mean, I buy local. I support local. Most of my family owns small businesses, whether it be a crane company or, real estate or, what we call knick-knack shops, flea markets and stuff. So, I buy local.
Well, I do too. As a matter of fact, the only thing that I bought online is my book. And that's the only thing. I never even scrolled to look. Now my son, he's on there every day. He buys a lot. I don't. So it doesn't matter to me if they put sales tax on it or
They don't.
whatever.
Well, from one of the things that I was doing a little quick Google search before we came on the air just to see what was going on with this issue, and there are some people that believe that this could potentially lead to a possible online sales tax issued on the federal level. And my guess is, because I didn't actually read the articles, is I think one thing that we may have to look at is, what happens if Arkansas, let's say, passes this, and we got Tennessee and Mississippi, Oklahoma, Missouri, the states that surround Arkansas, they don't. Or all over the country, you got a hodgepodge of states that some do it and some don't do it. Would this ultimately cause confusion? Imagine if you're an accountant, it could potentially become a nightmare, especially if you're someone who does business across the country. And that is one interesting point. Now it's not just the major corporations that do business across state lines. You have people who have local brick and mortar stores in town, but they will have a website in which people can order their products, and people order their products from all over the country and potentially all over the world. So it's gonna be interesting to see
Michael,
where this could potentially head, what the end game is.
I mean, like places like eBay. I mean, these people, some of them are businesses and some of them's individuals like that, like the Facebook online yard sales. I mean, is that going to include the online yard sales?
And
technically it's online when you purchase this. You say you agree to it, and then you meet up to buy it. Nobody has to ship it. So, my question is how far and what all is going to be regulated? It's not enough.
It could potentially be. It's and this is new uncharted territory. It kind of goes back to one of our earlier shows, and which we talked about the future and automation, and as technology evolves, and our technology has evolved that now allows us to do things such as purchase the things online. And I'm gonna use Miss Farrell as an example. I know, Miss Farrell, you said the only thing that you bought online is your book, but your book is also available online. People can actually go online and buy your book. Of course, now that's handled through Amazon, so Amazon will collect whatever taxes those people that order your book online get and take care of that. But it's gonna definitely be interesting to see how it plays out. And of course, if you have an opinion on this, you can give us a call at 870-277-1080. Once again, that phone number is 870-277-1080, or you can also weigh in on our Facebook Live feed. Of course, I want to kind of talk a little bit about Councilman Long's comments. I don't want to just put words in his mouth, but I know just from talking to him and his conservative views, I know that he is very skeptical about taxes and the role of government, and that applies not just him, but a lot of people who are conservative basically are against taxes in general, because they say, well, why do we want to put more money into the government's pocket, and the government is just going to waste it. Of course, on the other side, you have people who say, well, if this taxes passed, it can help to shore up the budget. And of course, one thing that might could potentially be looked at, we have healthcare in the news, and even though the current healthcare repeal effort was not successful, but if a future effort is successful and healthcare is changed, and the is it Arkansas Works, the name of the program, if that the Medicaid expansion in Arkansas, if that's done away with, and there's a lack of funding for healthcare or infrastructure or anything else that the states needs? Could this be a potential source of revenue that could help the state, or is this just, a ploy to enrich some fat cat's pockets?
Yeah, that's what I'd like to know. Where is the money going to go?
Is it going to go in general funds? Is it going to be earmarked? They were talking about small businesses. Well, some of these websites, you buy online, are also small businesses themselves. Or is that going to cutthroat them out of it? But the money, there's a lot of what ifs could go wrong there. What it could be used for, it's a lot of what ifs.
Yeah,
And I would like more detail before I roll judgment on them.
Well, people definitely want to know where it's going.
And another thing that you could potentially look at is this going to be tied to inflation? Is there going to be a sunset clause on that? And the sunset clause is basically if you have a tax and it's built in that after a certain number of years, the tax automatically goes away. They need to pass another law to get rid of it. It just automatically fades out after a certain time. That's a sunset clause. Would this tax have a sunset clause? Would, again, it be tied to inflation? And I think I read somewhere where someone said that if a tax like this were passed, maybe taxes could be cut somewhere else because of the additional revenue that was brought in could offset revenue that some other tax was bringing in. So, maybe there could be a possibility of a tax eliminated somewhere else. What do y'all think about that?
I don't ever see that happening. They like to collect as much money as possible. Just like I was reading in the Jonesboro Sun today, they're talking about our property taxes are
Yeah, I
going
seen
up.
that. I didn't read it, but I saw it.
And what's that all about? You have the how about to say you got a copy with you? Well, where's the property tax increase on the horizon?
I know mine, I got the letter in the mail. My house increased by $15,000 and it's going up $40 a year.
See, I don't pay taxes because I'm on a homestead.
Well, just a quick glance at the article, looks like it says it's a result of the assessed valuation increases from the recent 2012-2017 assessment cycle. So I think it seems to be like that's kind of more tied to an increase in property values because of the growth of the city and Jonesboro becoming a more attractive place to live. And there's housing developments springing up all over town. There's definitely a demand for housing. But we're going to go ahead and switch gears a little bit. I don't want to go into our second topic just yet. This Tuesday, there will be a city council meeting at City Hall, and both Amanda and Mrs. Farrell are going to attend that meeting. They're going to talk about the Jets proposal that they are going to be trying to present to the council. So, ladies, would y'all like to kind of expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, what we're going to do, we're going to go before the council and ask if they would allow jet buses to run on Saturdays and Sundays, or Saturday or Sunday, and we would like to have extended hours and possibly even going to farther out in the industrial park, because I'm getting feedback from people that say they're just paying outrageous amounts for people to pick them up. And I think this is at, I don't know if it's Nestle's where the girl worked or where it is, but it's out there. They might just get some extra hours, extended hours on going out there. I mean, make the circle with the extended hours of where they're already going, but just go further out into the industrial park because the need is there.
Okay, and Amanda, I know when we mentioned off break that some people near where you live, over on the north side of town, you admit people having to walk to G Street because from where you live, there's no close jet stop over in that area.
Yeah, some of these people have to walk over 10 miles to even get to a bus stop. So I'm considering asking and seeing if we can put one in the front of my park due to, the availability is there, place for them to turn around. I mean, they can come off 141 and then go back to G Street. I mean, it's within one of the routes. So, we need more additional stops. We need to get it farther out. We also need to, like Miss Norma said, extended hours, weekends. People unless you went without a vehicle, you have no idea. I mean, it's what the temperatures have been 115, 120.
Well, with the heat index,
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely have hovered around the 100 mark. I mean, it's just now,
And it's-
below the 90s. I mean,
Trying to walk.
I'm looking at the weather on the screen now, and it says 87.5. But
I know it feels great outside.
and-
Very
and
West PA.
thank God for it. And it's going to get cold. Same thing's going,
Yeah.
go for that. So,
And-
and the ridership is up. So I mean, people are using the bus.
Yeah.
I pass by there a couple times a day, sometimes, and it's always people coming and going. It's always customers.
Right.
So
The availability
Excuse me.
is there. The need is there. The people are there. We just need to.
for the city to pass that and go with it.
Because they can't do nothing until they pass legislation
Yeah.
anyways. But I mean, it's a benefit, and people, it's most certainly, needed here in Jonesboro.
And of course, the important thing, whether it's this issue or any issue that you're concerned about, this is something that we always stress. If you have something that, in fact, we even talked about this when we had Reverend Dr. Charles Coleman here earlier this week. If you have something that you feel passionate about, contact any of the councilmen and request to be put on the agenda so that you can have ample time to plead your case, to voice your concerns. I mean, they do have the comment period at the end of the meetings, but that's only 15 minutes and you're only limited to 5 minutes per person. So, if you get 3 people and they each use their 5 minutes, not really a lot that you can say.
Well, the NJI, I'm going to get up and speak for the NJI and for the board, which I'm on at Jets. And I want every citizen that can come and just stand up with me in that support that you want this to happen. The more, the merrier.
And that's definitely what it's all about. I mean, whatever the cause, whatever the issue is, the more people that come out in support, or if it's something that you are against, with, like a few weeks back, they had the proposed property development on Caraway, and a lot of people did come out, that were against it. I mean, so whether you are for or against the issue, it's important that you come out in numbers to voice that concern, whether it is for or against whatever you stand for. Because remember, these people, they are elected to represent you and they answer to you. So
And they don't know unless you tell them.
Yeah.
They can't read our minds. They just can go on what has been told to them and what's been recommended to them.
Yeah, so we need you to come out in numbers. And most of the city councilmen that were running during the election time came to the radio station. And I talked to them, and they said that they would support it on the weekend. So I'm going to challenge them to keep their word.
And I think that's important. I mean, and again, because I have to try to remain neutral, but no matter what the issue is, it's important to stay on your councilman. I mean, you mentioned, when they came in, they was running for office, you brought it up to them, but, don't just stop there, contact them, weekly, stay in their faces, keep it fresh on their mind.
Yeah, I definitely will be in their face on Tuesday.
Well, not in a combative way.
No.
But I
In
know-
a good way.
Miss Norman, do I need to bring my checkbooks? I do.
You might.
All right, we got a Facebook Live coming from Quabila. Well, and of course my phone would crash as soon as I try to read it. Quabila says, even though I can't attend the upcoming meetings, I plan on writing a letter to give to my council member to serve as my statement. I love the JET system, especially the paratransit service. And Quabila, that's actually a good
Thank
point
you.
for,
That's good.
for if you can't physically attend the meeting, write letters, send emails,
They all
phone
have
calls.
Facebook.
Because some of the councilmen even have Facebook, public pages in which that they ask for comments. So there are definitely different ways of reaching out, even if you can't physically attend a meeting. Again, such as social media, phone calls, writing a letter if you're old school like that. Nothing wrong
Yeah,
with
write a
old.
letter to the editor, because I'm probably writing one.
Nothing like good old school letters, shooting an email. The point is, there's definitely plenty of lines of communication that are available in which people can reach out to the person that represents you. We're going to go ahead and get ready to go into a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about something very interesting. This is definitely something for all of the parents out there, and I want And we definitely got two mothers in the building, so I definitely want to know. I'm not a parent, but
I'm an old school parent.
but
I am
does spanking cause mental illness? A 50-year study says yes. Of course, most people I talk to say different. We'll talk about it after the break. This is Our Thoughts on the Matter. This is KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Our Thoughts on the Matter on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Hi, I am Rosie. This is your KLEK Learn Spanish Minute. Hi, kiddo. Today we will learn about the numbers. Do you know the numbers in Spanish?
It's been a while since I've experienced them in my high school Spanish class.
Okay, we start with 0, that is 0.
0,
1 is uno.
1,
2 is dos.
2,
3 is tres.
3,
4 is cuatro.
4,
5 is cinco.
5,
6 is seis.
6,
7 is siete.
7,
8 is ocho.
8,
9 is nueve.
9,
10 is 10.
10.
Muy bien.
Gracias.
I am Rosie, and that was your KLEK Learn Spanish Minute.
Post Consumer Brands is seeking to hire 5 operators at their Jonesboro facility. Post offers good starting pay, 3 weeks of paid vacation, comprehensive benefits, 401k with employee match, and frontline incentives while working 4 days on and 4 days off. More information is available at jobs.postconsumerbrands.com. Post Consumer Brands is an equal opportunity employer.
Blues Live for 5
Part 2 at Legends Barbecue Smokehouse.
only $5 admission. Saturday,
August 19th, 7 o'clock.
p.m. Featuring from Dallas, Texas, Lerone Powers.
What's the name of that thing? Put on me last night.
Lerone Powers.
And is the mother, but don't you get caught. You're gonna have to pay the cost.
Performing all of his hits.
Ain't nothing but a party. Jumping like a pole in the wall.
Lerone Powers. Don't miss it. Blues Live for 5
At Legends Barbecue Smokehouse.
Saturday,
August 19th, 7 o'clock p.m.
only $5 admission. This event is a KLEK fundraiser.
Danny Ford, owner of Glen Sain Motors in Paragould, strongly believes in the values of family and hard work with a commitment to the men and women of the U.S. Armed Forces who keep America free, providing sales and servicing of Chevys, GMCs, Buicks, and Cadillacs, located at 6345 Highway 49 in Paragould, 870-565-4358. Details at glensainparagould.com and at klekfm.org. God bless our troops.
And now back to Our Thoughts on the Matter on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And we're back to Our Thoughts on the Matter on KLK 102.5 FM. Kato Wonder is in the studio with you. I'm joined by Mrs. Norma Farrell and Mrs. Amanda Donovan. And we're going to move on to our second topic, which is, does spanking kids cause mental illness? And what brought this about was there has actually been a 50-year study that was done on this. And the conclusion of the study is that spanking kids actually leads to negative outcomes and mental illness. I'm going to read this article from CBSNews.com, and it says, spanking a kid leads to bad behaviors, not the better manners some parents may think a smack on the bottom will elicit, a new study suggests. Researchers from the University of Texas at Austin and the University of Michigan analyzed 75 studies involving more than 150,000 children that spanned 50 years. This is a wide swath of children, and the findings are incredibly consistent, study author Dr. Elizabeth Gershoff told CBS News. This shows there's a correlation between spanking and negative outcomes, and absolutely no correlation between spanking and positive outcomes. Spanking doesn't make kids behave better right away, and it leads to worse behavior in the long run, said Gershoff, an associate professor of human development and family sciences at the University of Texas at Austin. And spanked kids are more likely to be aggressive and antisocial. The irony is that many parents spank when their kids are aggressive, so the child thinks you can use spanking to get what you want. Kids learn that, she said. Even though some may think spanking is an antiquated parenting technique at this point in time, over the past decade or two, parenting books have touted a gentler, kinder parenting technique involved positive reinforcement. Gershoff said spanking still goes on in a lot of households. There's research showing by the time that most kids get to high school, at least 85% have been spanked, so most kids are being spanked, said Gershoff. There may not be spanked as often as, say, their parents' generation was paddled or with objects, said Gershoff, but spanking is alive and well. Dr. David Pollack, a pediatrician with several of the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia's primary care locations in the Philadelphia area, told CBS News he even witnesses parents spank. I may on rare occasions actually see it happen in my office, where most parents are trying to be on their best behaviors. The episode triggers family discussion about discipline alternatives, he said. Some people spank because they were spanked. It's passed down from generation to generation, Gershoff said. Others may do it because of their religious background, suggests it's okay. To make ourselves feel better about it, we use spanking as a euphemism, but it's still hitting. There's no way to define spanking without using the word hitting, said Gershoff. The study published in the Journal of Family Psychology looks specifically at spanking alone versus lumping in all forms of physical punishment. Our analysis focuses on what most Americans would recognize as spanking and not on potentially abusive behaviors, explained Gershoff. They defined spanking as an open-handed hit on the behind or extremities and reported that it was linked with 13 out of 17 outcomes, all negative, including defying parents, acting aggressive, and exhibiting mental health problems and cognitive difficulties. The healthy approach is to discipline and to emphasize the positive, said Gershoff. It's not one single technique. It's a host of behaviors parents should do. They involve the relationship between the parent and child and rewarding the child when they do the right thing. She said people think if you don't spank, you're a pushover, but you can be a firm parent with high expectations for children. You don't have to hit them to show them you have power. CHOP's Pollack says, discipline is derived from the word disciple or teacher, and our goal is to teach kids right from wrong, to have them always engage with others in a positive and productive way, and to live by the golden rule. Parents should be role models, he said. They should behave as they would wish their kids to behave. Our society is becoming increasingly violent and angry. We should try to do everything possible to minimize that culture around our children, he said. And again, this came from CBSNews.com. All right, so.
Well, I'm going to tell you what I did. I'm a parent. I have 2 adult children in their 40s. And what I did was very little spanking. I used psychology. I used to work at the Human Development Center, and it was a psychologist there by the name of Adam Brazos. I never will forget Adam. My kids were like 7 and maybe 9, something like that. When I started to work there, they were maybe even a little younger. And I used that psychology and the rewarding system that he used for our clients, and it worked for me. Now, I have spanked, but very, very little. I have a 16-month-old grandson that I'm babysitting 5 days a week, and he's in the walking stage, and I've what they call child-proofed my house, but now I'm putting it back in order because he's starting his walking, and he's learning what to touch and what not to touch. And as you can see, I have a kind of coarse, heavy voice, and it's a little threatening. And when I use this voice in a different level, I get what I need from him. So what works for me may not work necessarily for you. I've heard spare the rod and spoil the child. But I use psychology, and my parents, they did not, we were spoiled, but they used the rod. And that was just their way. And I decided when I became a parent, and early on when my kids, I was a single parent in their early years, and I didn't want them not to like me for the reason of whooping them, what I would call. But I wanted them to know it was a reason why the results that you got from doing things, where if it was a right or wrong, how I would, go about chastising them. And it worked. They turned out to be good kids. So whatever works for you, use it.
That's right. I've got 3 girls, 8, 6, and Ena will be 4 in October. Now, I use all forms. Reward system, talking, the corner, sister rivalry, it can be a mess sometimes. But no matter what you do, you need to tell them what they did wrong. And don't ever, ever, if you're so mad you can't see straight, don't touch that child. I mean, I've had both. There's a difference between smacking them and letting them know they doing wrong, and picking up something and beating the fire out of them. I've had both. Hurting somebody.
And I think that's, it's very important to make that distinction. Now, Amanda, you also bring up something else I think that wasn't brought up in the article, but is also very important. The progressive discipline you mentioned, you have the various methods. So, it may start out with the one level, and then if the problem continues, it escalates until it may finally get to that last level, instead of it being a first resort.
Well, see, at the Human Development Center, and I know people, I don't know, I'll explain it to you. These people are mentally retarded, and you cannot hit them or touch them.
That's right.
So,
because you'll go to jail.
Yeah, you sure will, and lose your job and all that. And so you had to have a reward system there. And so I just took it over to my house. It worked for them, and they had a mental problem. So I know a normal kid could very well, you use the same behavior psychology on them, and it works.
I do the reward system also, but some days is better than others. But the spanking, I do believe in spanking, but that should be your last resort. I mean, just because a kid spills your milk, you shouldn't pick them up and beat the tire out of them. I'm sorry. And
well, with me, I didn't get many spankings, not because my folks wouldn't do it, but kind of like what Ms. Farrell said earlier, basically just the thought of knowing that it could happen was usually enough to keep me in line. We do have a Facebook shout out to Kanika Danielle. Appreciate you for checking in on our Facebook live stream. Also, if you want to check in on our live stream, you can, and you can also give us a call at 870-277-1080. Once again, that phone number is 870-277-1080. And once again, you can weigh in on our Facebook live feed. We're talking about this article where a 5-decade study reveals negative consequences from spanking kids. But one thing that, I would like to maybe ask about is, as time has gone on, I think it seems to be less spanking and less discipline, especially coming from me being a former school teacher, than my generation and the generations going back. So, but yet there seems to be an increase in misbehavior in children. So if parents aren't resorting to spanking as much as, and I don't know, I don't have any data or numbers, but it just seems like the old school methods of parenting aren't being as employed as much as they used to, and you're seeing kids acting up more now than they used to. So, I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
no discipline.
No respect.
No respect. I'll tell you another one that really irks me. And I've been told, and I'm not going to mention no names, but I grew up in a business at 6 years old. Now, I wasn't slave driving, and they wasn't working me to death, but I was taught to work. They wouldn't sit up and play video games all day. Now, I can't even teach my children if something would happen to me when they got old enough to do and be responsible enough to teach them how to run their own family business. They had to be 16, 18 years old before I can even do that. So the teaching of lack of work is another. The work ethic and our morals. The morals of today's society is different than what it was, and when my grandparents was growing up.
Yeah, and that cell phone and texting business. I'll tell you a little incident that happened. I had a baby shower, this past weekend. Well, 2 weekends ago. And 4 or 5 of the people that came, most of them were kind of more or less in my age, but the younger group, they were not communicating with the people. They was on the texting and the phones. I don't know if it was emergency, but people just don't have, I don't know what the values are. I'm not so much as a social media. I'll probably be sitting in a rocking chair and I won't know what's going on in the world in another 5 years. But I hope not to be, because social media is all that people have on their mind.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
They don't even respect being in the company of a dinner table or a baby shower and interacting with the people.
And to be honest with you, I'm guilty of that. Because because of, my role as general manager of the station, there's always emails and stuff come through. And sometimes I'll be with someone and something comes up and I have to do it. And I'll at least try to make an effort to say, look, I'm sorry, I'm not ignoring you. I just got to do this.
The difference is in being a business owner, business is business.
Yeah, I can understand that, but
yeah, but when you're, and that's another
in the company, even in church, you see people doing it. They don't even. You can't lay the thing down for an hour or 30 minutes out of your life.
And well, what's going to make this interesting is, now the kids coming up, they're coming up in the era where social media is all they know. I can remember, all of us can remember how it was before then, and of course, as I was coming of age, it was in the transition, I remember when the internet was in its infancy, back in the late 90s and early 2000s.
dial up.
Yep. Oh, yeah. And not only that, but even the stigma, just meeting people online, like, oh, you gonna meet that person online? They could be a stalker or a killer. No, don't do that. But now everybody's online. But
everybody almost but me.
Well,
I'm online, but and I get on Facebook pretty regular, but I still try to devote my time to my children, my business, my husband. What really irks me is we're sitting at the dinner table and somebody drags a phone out. I'm sorry, we're eating supper. You can live without that phone.
What's for supper?
What's for supper tonight? I'm thinking meatloaf.
Nice. We got Facebook coming from Kubila. Kubila says, as a parent who has tried a variety of things, you have to factor in environmental influences into the life of a child. And that's, in Kubila, it's definitely a good point, because especially someone as a former school teacher, definitely encountered kids who grew up in abusive households, or household where the parent was absent, or parent didn't care, parent was drugged out, or a whole plethora of things that could be going on, and the child internalizes these things and has to deal with them.
Well, I know we were talking about spanking, but I would like to see the statistics and where she gets these numbers. But the emotional abuse, I see parents all the time, I'm not going to mention no names, it's throughout through town, cussing their children, screaming at their children, telling them that their children ain't going to matter to nothing. You're their parent. And I'm sorry, I've had mental and physical abuse, and if a nun was not an option, I have rather somebody punch me in my face than verbally abuse me. I'm sorry. I can see where that would lead to more problems than spanking.
Well, I've seen the same thing, like in stores where people, just screaming and hollering at the kids. I've even seen them slap them in the mouth. And stuff like that. I don't think you need to be doing it. I got spankings more probably than I needed, and when I was a kid, I did.
I think
my daddy he was a real strict person, and he put the fear of God in you. And my mother did not do the spanking. She would, if it was 12 o'clock at night when he came home, and you knew it at 12 noon that day, you just shook. And because you knew what you was gonna get, but Robert still had repeatedly did the same thing again to get the same.
Well,
whooping.
you knew the consequences. You do something bad, that you're gotta pay the reaper. You gotta pay the reaper.
Yes, you do.
So, that's what breaks my heart. And I try to stay out of people's businesses and how they raise their kids, but I ain't gonna lie. I've literally stopped a lady in Walmart and just give her what for, because this little kid was probably about 3-4 years old, and she's calling it everything but a white kid.
But look, when these kids back to, well, this kind of ties in with it. You had this program, Scan.
Yeah, I know.
Or whatever program you
I
had.
tell you what my mama said. Here's the phone. Call 911. I'll pack your bags up, and they're gonna be here in 45 minutes. But you gonna get your butt tore up till they get here.
Well, kids have almost lost their lives, and they've taken them out of the home, and then 2 weeks later they're right back in there.
Mm-hmm.
So those are probably the people that need spanking.
Well, one interesting thing to bring up, kind of something that Chief Elliott has said. He said one thing that irritates him is when he's out and about and a parent says, "If you don't stop acting up, I'm gonna have that police officer arrest you." And now that plants that seed of that child either fearing or distrusting police officers.
I can see where that irk them too.
Well, they probably don't do it in a way that makes a kid think that the police is a bad person, but they want them to know, straighten up now. But I can see where he's saying that, with all that's going on with the police in America.
And they need our support. There's good ones in there and there's bad ones.
Oh,
we
yeah,
still
for
need
sure.
it. We need to support them.
And speaking of Jonesboro Police Department is going to be starting their Citizens Police Academy. I believe this is session 6 that's going to start soon. And
I want to.
yeah, Amanda, you need to get in on that.
You like it?
4-year-old.
Because Miss Farrell and I, we are both CPA alumni. Miss Farrell, I think they may have finally retired the picture of you with the SWAT.
I need that picture.
Well, it's all over Facebook. I'll find
guess
it.
I could get it then.
I'll find it and download it for you.
Okay.
But I think there's another lady that they're using now.
Okay.
With the SWAT uniform on. But
Everybody get their turn.
But yeah.
Wait, what's the info so the people would know?
The application is on the Jonesboro Police website, jonesboropolice.com, or you can contact the Jonesboro Police Department, ask for Sergeant Cassie Brandon, and Cassie will definitely get you all the information that you need. And it's definitely something that I encourage each and every one of the citizens to.
It's every Thursday night.
From 6 to 9 to 10 a.m. just kind of depends on the topic. But one thing I want to talk about regarding CPA, and yes, you do get to learn about what the police do. You get exposed to the different things. Of course, my favorite part was the ride along, and actually seeing everything that officer does on the police shift. But the dialogue between the police and the community, they actually want that. They want to know, what do you think, even if it's not good. Like Chief says, he said he's a big boy, he can take it. So even
and they need that. People need that. They really do.
And I will give this an example. And I think this was in your class, Mrs. Farrell. There was some content that was presented at one of the sessions that some of the CPA students found objectionable, and concerns were voiced to Chief Elliott, and the material was changed. So that feedback, they do listen to that feedback, and it's a way to kind of get a pulse for the police department to get a pulse on the community and how they feel. So I definitely encourage you to sign up for Citizens Police Academy, because even if you still walk away with it, even if you still don't care for the police, you at least will get an understanding of why they do the things they do. And it's definitely eye-opening. I definitely enjoyed it, especially the ride-alongs with the officers, especially my third shift ride-along. That was definitely interesting. We did a DWI case. Can't go into the details on it, but that one DWI case actually took up our whole shift. We spent from the moment the person was arrested to the police station to even the hospital to jail. Yep, had a little bit of all of that. We'll be back with more. This is Our Thoughts on the Matter. This is KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Our Thoughts on the Matter on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Recent studies report young black women are at higher risk than whites or older blacks to develop a type of tumor with genetic traits that makes it deadly and hard to treat. Among premenopausal black women with breast cancer, 39% had the more dangerous kind called a basal-like subtype, compared with only 14% of older black women and 16% of non-black women of any age. The study is the first to measure how common the different genetic subtypes of breast tumors are in American women and to sort the subtypes by race. The study explains something that was already known. Although breast cancer is less common in blacks than whites, when black women do develop the disease, they are more likely to die from it, especially if they're under 50. I'm Alexis Comer for Black Health Now.
Black Health Now.
Black Health Now is made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization dedicated to uncompromising commitment to communities, service, leadership, empowerment. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
Hey ladies, it's Nettie Jones, the girlfriend's therapist. I'm here with my girls, Elise Lyles and Brianna Hill.
The Fab Squad.
Tune in this week for our featured bad woman of color. She's bold,
audacious,
and determined. She's a bad,
shut your mouth,
woman of color. So tune in this week from
10 to 11
right here on KLEK 102.5 FM.
You don't want to miss it.
Tell a friend.
Support for KLEK is brought to you by
Fullness of Joy Ministries, 2120 Thorn Street, Jonesboro, under the direction of Bishop Adrian Rogers and co-pastor Susan Rogers. www.fjministries.org.
Did you know that KLEK 102.5 FM is a nonprofit organization? Did you know that you can donate to KLEK 102.5 FM and your donation is tax deductible? Donations to nonprofit organizations such as KLEK can reduce the amount of taxes you may owe the IRS or increase the amount of any potential tax refund. Support your KLEK today. You can donate by calling 870-277-1080, visiting our studio at 1411 Franklin Street in Jonesboro, or on our website www.klekfm.org. We at KLEK 102.5 FM are blessed and grateful for your support.
And now back to our thoughts on the matter on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And we're back to our thoughts on the matter on KLEK 102.5 FM. Kato Wonder is in the studio with you, joined by Mrs. Norma Farrell and Mrs. Amanda Donovan. And of course, you can still weigh in on our Facebook live stream, or you can give us a call at 870-277-1080. And got another Facebook comment from David Donovan. I don't know if any relation to you, but he says, anyone besides me remember when internet was free? Well, David, I actually don't remember that. I remember the internet, but I don't remember when it was free. So you apparently you know something that I don't. But I do remember dial-up, like Amanda says, and I remember driving my parents up the wall because I dial in like, get off the phone, I gotta call somebody.
That's right. You're eating at my phone bill.
And I remember, and I guess I can tell the story now that it's years have passed and Twin Towers no longer exist. But when I was in the dorm at Twin Towers, I actually ran a wire through the ceiling from my dorm room to an empty dorm room, so that I could have my phone free to talk, and I could have the other phone, for the internet. But and I remember when they put cable modems in the dorm, we thought we were doing it big. So
I was the first one out of all my friends. I was in the 5th grade when I got my own computer. It was on the internet. Me and my sister.
Well, it's kind of funny because I've dealt with computers in some form most of my life. My very first computer I got at 8 years old was a Commodore 64. How many of y'all remember those? Well, you may remember the Atari computers, or Tandy computers, or the IBM 386 or 486. I remember all of them old school computers. But I've been surrounded by computers in some way, shape, or form all my life, and of course, I'm surrounded by computers here every day in the station. One of the things that we were talking about off the air is there is a vacant seat on the Jonesboro City Council. I don't know the gentleman's name, but he's moving away.
Daryl Dover.
Daryl Dover. Is it Dover or Dover?
I think it's Dover.
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 And he's leaving, and so There's been some candidates who have applied to fill that seat, to fill out the term, and I'm not sure if the council is going to vote or if it's going to be an election to determine who fills that seat, but it's definitely probably something
How
to
much
watch for.
longer will that term be someone to serve?
2018.
So whoever gets that seat will have to run for a full term next year, and of course, it is definitely something to keep an eye out on for next year, because it will be election season again. And of course, one of the things that's going to be different for like the county races, these will now be for 4-year terms instead of 2-year terms. So I'm definitely keep an eye on that. And of course, we will invite all of the candidates to come on to community conversations so that they can let their stance be known on the issue. So make sure that you tune in so that you can be an informed voter, so that you can have your voice known to those that represent you. So ladies, anything else that I want to talk about? We kind of went through our topics pretty quickly. We usually have a fuller crew than this, but it's all good. Like I said, the party and the show must go on.
That's right. Remember, Tuesday night, we need your support at the
We need you to
Municipal
be
Center.
there.
We need you to be there. So
5:30.
Okay, and of course they're going to be talking about the JET system, and of course, there's been a push for quite a while to increase the hours of the JET service, and to also have weekend service, Saturday and Sunday service. And I'm definitely sure a lot of people would love to have the Sunday service for people who may want to go worship at their church and don't have a ride to worship. And I think that would definitely be good. Or for people who just have jobs in which they work on weekends and they can have a way to and from their job. So hopefully, enough people can come out and support to try to get something done about that. That's Tuesday at 5:30.
5:30. We definitely want the people that ride the bus to be there.
And I'm sure the people would definitely love that feedback as far as what's going on. Got a couple of announcements of some things going on in the community. I'm going to read them and then we're going to get up out of here. There is actually going on right now a fish fry, and it is sponsored by the Eliza Murphy number 395 chapter of the Order of the Eastern Star. And the dinners include 2 pieces of fish, spaghetti, slaw, bread, and dessert. And it's going to be until 3:00 p.m. at the E. Boone Watson Center. And information on ordering is at 870-919-6634. Again, that's 870-919-6634 or 870-219-9731. Again, that's 870-219-9731. That is a fish fry, because we all enjoy fish fry. Speaking of fish fry, be sure to check out the Saturday morning tailgate each and every Saturday morning, right before our Thoughts on the Matter, 6 a.m. to 12 noon, for some good old-fashioned blues. And let's see, August 5th, My Neighborhood Building Project, brought to you by the North Jonesboro Neighborhood Initiative. This is calling all children ages 8 to 17 years of age. It says, have you ever wondered what it would be like to live in a city that you created? Here's your chance. And this is going to take place at Parker Park Community Center from 9:30 a.m. to 3:00 p.m. And that definitely sounds like fun. And
I'm very excited for this.
I would have, I like to tinker with stuff, so I would have liked to have built things as well.
Frank was telling me I gotta keep my hands off the buildings. It's for the children.
Well, you did work for a concrete company, so you can pour the concrete. New Yam Festival is August 5th. The New Yam Festival and fundraiser. It says every year we celebrate God's blessings on our staple crop, yams. We dance, we prance, we display, and we thank God in our own way. We also raise funds to provide free medical missions to our little town in eastern Nigeria once per year. Donations will be accepted. Come and experience Africa firsthand. There'll be people dressed in African attire. I'm sure there'll be African food there as well. And this is going to be at the ASU Pavilion August 5th. More information is available via Reverend Dr. Greg Ota at 870-273-9633. That's 870-273-9633. Let's see, we have a couple back to school events. Bethesda Worship and Healing Center presents community back to school event August 12th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Parker Park. There will be school supplies given away. There'll be food provided, haircuts, drinks, and entertainment. There's going to be basketball games. The police, the pastors, the fire department, and the community. A 3-point shootout, a dunk contest, and more. And of course, if you'd like to help out, more information is available at either Bethesda Worship and Healing Center at 2215 North Church Street, or Daddy's Choice Barbershop at 2301 East Johnson Avenue, or at 761-4480. Again, that's 870-761-4480. And let's see, building relationships between law enforcement officials and the community, conversations on racial and ethnic harmony. This is Wednesday, August 9th, 2017, 8 o'clock a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. at Arkansas Northeastern College, 2501 South Division Street, Blytheville, Arkansas. It is open to the public and lunch will be provided. More information is available via Deshaun Scarborough at 888-290-KING. That's 888-290-KING, and you'll have to use your fingers to spell that out over the phone. And I'm kind of going down my list, seeing if
you have the one at New St. John.
School. That's August 12th.
That's also, yes, New St. John. I don't have the flyer on me, but they will also have a back to school event, which will be August 12th. Miss Farrell, what is the times on that?
I don't know, but
Well, you can contact New St. John Missionary Baptist Church to get more information on that back to school event. I think we do have it in our community calendar.
I've been hearing it.
And of course, there's several back to school events going on around town. And of course, one thing I just want to mention as you get ready to get your kids back to school, make sure that they stay safe. And for you people out there driving, make sure you watch out for them kids. Don't be on their phone and
texting and driving. Please.
We don't want to see any of our youth get ran over. All right, y'all. Any final thoughts or shout-outs before we get ready to get up out of here?
Well, we just want you to be there Tuesday at City Council so we can get these Saturdays and Sundays and extended hours.
That's right. You have a blessed weekend.
All right, well, guys, I'm going to get ready to get up out of here. We're going to let this beat right out for the next 60 seconds. So you guys have a great and blessed day. This is Our Thoughts on the Matter. We'll be back next Saturday. I won't be here, but the rest of the crew will be here. And, of course, my girl Amanda, she's going to hold down the board. We're gonna train her how to work this board in this live stream next week. So she's been wanting to do it, so she's gonna get her opportunity to moderate. So hopefully we'll have a good topic to talk about. All right, I ran my mouth enough. You guys have a great and blessed day. This is Our Thoughts on the Matter, and this is KLEK 102.5 FM.
Thank you for listening to Our Thoughts on the Matter on KLEK 102.5 FM, a program offering opinions from all sides of the issues concerning local, state, and national topics of importance to the Jonesboro community. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the Voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters, donors, or sponsors.
KLEK-LP, Jonesboro, the Voice of Arkansas Minority